You're going to start by drawing the compass with north, south, east, and west because you know that you're going to have to draw the bearings for each of the planes in the problem. And then the first part of the problem says two planes simultaneously take off from the same airport, which means the lines for each plane are going to both start at the origin. And then you're just going to focus on the bearings for each of the planes. So it says plane A flies at north 20 degrees east, which means you're going to start north and then move toward east 20 degrees. And then plane B flies at south 30 degrees east, which means you start at south and then move toward east 30 degrees. And then you can focus on the miles and miles per hour for each of the planes. And the question is asking how far apart are the planes after 3 hours. And since plane A is going 400 miles per hour, after 3 hours, you're just going to multiply the 400 by 3, which means after 3 hours, plane A travels 1,200 miles. Then you're going to do the same thing for plane B. So the 500 miles per hour times the 3 hours means it travels 1,500 miles after the 3 hours. And then the question asks, how far apart are the planes after the 3 hours? So you're just going to draw a line between the planes and then label it X. And the easiest way to find X is to use a cosine equation because you don't have a right triangle and you're already given two sides. So all you need to find is this angle here. And to find it, you know that between north and east is 90 degrees. So you're just going to find the complement to the 20 degrees that you already have, which is 70 degrees. And then do the same thing with the 30, which is going to be 60 degrees. So the total right here is 130 degrees. So the cosine equation is going to be based off of a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc times the cosine of a. And then you're going to plug in the information you have where a squared is going to be x squared, this is how you're trying to find. And then b squared and c squared, or b and c, are going to be the sides you already have. And the capital A is going to be the 130 degrees, the angle that you found. And the final value for x comes out to be 2,450.31 miles. And then you're going to add to your drawing and put in the new value you just found in there. And then now that you answered the first question, the next question is, what are the bearings from plane A to plane B at the end of the 3 hours? So since you're finding bearings again, you're going to add another compass, and the compass is going off of point A for plane A because you're finding the bearings from plane A to plane B. So this angle here, which I put as Y, is the bearings from plane A to plane B going from south to east. So Y is what you're trying to find, and you're going to use that as the bearings. And the first step to finding Y is going to be, you're going to want to find this whole angle measure here. But since you can't find that, you're going to start by finding the third angle down here, which is going to be x. And to do that, you're going to use a sine equation, which is going to be the sine of 130, which is the angle across from this side, over the side, which is 2,450.31, equals the sine of x, the angle you're trying to find, over its opposite side, 1,500. Okay, so the side across from x is not 1,500, it's actually 1,200. So you're going to put that in your equation instead, and then you're going to use the inverse of sine because you're finding an angle measure, and then x comes out to be 22.03 degrees. And then you can put that in your drawing there. And then you're going to subtract 22.03 and 130 from 180 to find the measure of this whole angle. which comes out to be 27.97 degrees. And then now that you have your whole angle, you're going to have to subtract the measure of this smaller angle from the whole angle to find y. And then to find the measure of this smaller angle, which ends up being 20, you have to realize that this line and this line, both the horizontal lines and the bearings, are parallel, which means this angle is the alternate interior angle to this one, which means they're both going to be 20 degrees. And then 27.97 minus 20 is y, and then y ends up being 7.97 degrees. So then the bearings, since you're going to be starting south and then moving toward east, 7.97 degrees, the answer to the second question is the bearings is south 7.97 degrees east.